Lance Flint signing in. To my subscribers, what up? And if you're new around these parts, just stopping by to see how I do things around here. What up, what up? So I had a chance to check out Little Brother documentary, May the Lord Watch. And let me tell you, I really enjoyed this documentary. Being Little Brother, they always been one of my favorite groups. And being from North Carolina, I could identify with some of the things that took place, some of the areas and things like that. So growing up, Phonte, he's from Lumberton, North Carolina, and a lot of his family, he had a big family, and they was from down that area. And something that was crazy to me was, in The Color Purple, he was in that movie, one of the kids, he was one of the extras, and I would have never knew that. And just being about that, a lot of his family, they was a church-going family. He grew up in the church, and he always liked to doing things as artsy when it came to, writing music, rapping, singing, things like that. And one day, his mother, she packed up. I think she said she had like $20-some, and they took it on to Greensboro, North Carolina. But we gonna go on the other side. Rapper Big Pooh, he had a sister and an older brother, and he was saying something like his older brother, he was getting in a lot of trouble, and his sister, she had her own identity, and he was just the guy who stayed out of trouble and things like that. So watching this documentary, it was crazy to me because rapper Big Pooh, he's from Virginia, and it was slated that he was gonna go to ODU. For y'all who don't know, that's Old Dominion University in Virginia. So one of his best friends was going to a different school, and how about his best friend had a scholarship to North Carolina Central, and that's in Durham, North Carolina, the Bull City. So he told his mom like the night before that he's going to North Carolina Central as well, and he haven't even seen the school. And that just was funny to me because being somebody who went to college, I know people who was like, man, because I went to Shaw University in Raleigh. That's also in the 919. Some of my classmates was like, man, I haven't even seen the school, but they signed on to go here. So just to hear that was crazy. And the thing about it, they lived in Chidley Hall at North Carolina Central. That's the men's dorm. My older brother, he went to North Carolina Central. They had an RA by the name of Joe Drummer, and like he had the hangout spot. They used to listen to music and everything in his room, and just being in college, that's a great experience because in the dorm, it was always places where people hung out, where the music was going, good convo, and just a lot of people coming through from different places, different cities. So one day, rapper Big Pooh was chilling in there, and they was listening to music and playing music and stuff. How about Phonte came in there, he like, yo, I got this rap I wrote for class, I want y'all to check it out. And rapper Big Pooh was like, man, that's crazy, that's crazy. And he just was like astonished. So they had the same musical interests. Back then, like rapper Big Pooh used to be reading a lot of the XXL magazines and the Source magazines, which for y'all who don't know, that was like the holy grail, just reading those magazines. That's when you could really get a chance to learn about the music industry, and you get a chance to see people that you normally wouldn't see who's probably not as big commercially, and it just was a lot of things in there that you would like to see. So they had a lot of the same musical interests, like they was like in, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, and things like that. So rapper Big Pooh was like, man, out of my group that I hung around, I was the musical genius. Like I knew a lot, but Phonte, man, every time he talked about music, I wanted to listen because I felt like, man, this dude, he knew way more than me about music. So Phonte, he started moving on up. So he moved up out of Chidley Hall one day, and he ran into Ninth Wonder. He ran into Ninth Wonder in the new dorm that he at. And Ninth was like, yeah, I want to play you some beats. And mind you, this is the time they probably didn't even know each other from music like that. So he played them the beats. And Phonte was like, yo, can I rhyme on this beat? This gold. And he was like, yeah, you like this beat? It's nice. So the first song that Phonte and Ninth Wonder made together was Paper's Lines, and I think he said they did that in like 1999. And man, just to think about what they did at North Carolina Central, one of the best rap groups to me, and they just was in the pocket where I liked the way they didn't compromise who they were to fit in with the music that was going on at the time, because the music at the time, music was in a change where, you know, a lot of that snap music was going around, and, you know, the down south emergence where, you know, that trap rap and that fun rap, and they lyricists, so they just was stuck in the middle. They wasn't on that. Man, I remember at times I would, this when MySpace was popping, I think I put that song on my MySpace page, The Life of the Party. Everybody's out depressing. Wait for the talk of the town. Girl, I'm a star, you just don't know. Man, that was my song. I had that on the MySpace page. But let's get back to it. So I know one time it was like the Roots, they had a show at Duke University where, for y'all who don't know, it's a triangle. So Duke is not too far from North Carolina Central, and UNC as well, that's up there around. So the Roots had a concert at Duke, and how about it was raining real bad. Questlove was like, man, we ain't want to go on stage, but like the people, they been out there for like 3 or 4 hours. So as they was finishing the performance, he was like, cause I was feeling bad, you know, Questlove said he went and started shaking everybody's hand. So as he was shaking somebody's hand, it was Phonte. Phonte gave him a Little Brother CD. So he was like, man, I heard people talking about Little Brother in a Okayplayer community, because I think that's like a website that, you know, they was on hard back in the day, and it was good for like underground music, and a lot of people enjoyed that site. It's just one of those type of things. They said it was like Black Twitter. If you was in, you was in. So Questlove was like, man, I listened to this for hours and hours. And he was like, man, this just was crazy just to hear this and see what they did for rapping in a room. And just hearing about their story, it was dope the way they bridged all their resources together. Because Ninth Wonder, he's a person, they said he had friends at NC State as well. So the other friends he had at NC State, he would bridge them together. And sometimes they would go up there and rap with them. And it was like, their name was a Justice League. That was their name when all of them collaborated and came together. There was a lot of them in that group. And I remember just listening to their music on MySpace back in the day. And that was just, man, it was a great time. But the funny thing about how Little Brother was introduced to me, I'm gonna tell you. So they had something like video, it was something on like, we had a channel on TV, and I watched a Lovin' It song. I'm like, yo, that's kinda hot. Can't stop, won't stop. And then Joe Scudder, I wake up every morning, going through life like I know y'all ain't messing with me. And just hearing that, I was like, man, these dudes serious with it. And so I heard that, man, you know, that just was that one track, and I just ain't think much of it. So when I got in college, a dude that was across the hall from me by the name of Antoine, he's like, man, check this out, this the Listening. And he started letting me hear that. I'm like, yo, this crazy. Then like he let me hear the Minstrel Show as well. I'm like, man, they some of my favorite rappers. They some of my favorite MCs. So how about, I went to Glenn High School, that's in Kernersville, North Carolina, and I seen Ninth Wonder he was in the stands at the football game one time, and I was telling my teacher, like, yeah, I want to meet Ninth Wonder. She was like, yeah, I know him from back in the day, I know. She called him his real name, Patrick. Do you want to meet him? I could take you up to him right now to introduce you to him. I'm like, nah, he at the football game. It look like he kicking it with his family. I don't want to go up to him and, you know, try to kick a rhyme and all that, because I was about my music at the time. I even ran into Ninth Wonder at a gas station on the south side of Winston. I handed him one of my mixtapes. It probably was a Frisbee or something, but I ran into him and I met Ninth Wonder at the A3C in Atlanta, and we was talking about, I was telling them, the teacher, her name, she wanted to introduce me to you, but I ain't want to do it at the time because you were like, you was kicking it polying with your people, so I ain't want to come up all in there and talk about rap and music, because it was going through my head when he said something like, when I'm out with the family and friends and people coming up to me talking about music. It was on one of them skits. The way they ran into each other, I think that was like a crazy timing, because just think, rapper Big Pooh, he wasn't even supposed to go to North Carolina Central. So if he never went to North Carolina Central, Little Brother, it wouldn't have even been the same as we know. So they had some group, it was 3 of them at the time. It was what? 3 rappers, and Ninth, he was making the beat. So it was Sean Dunn, rapper Big Pooh, and Phonte. In some kind of way, one of the semesters, Sean Dunn, he didn't come back the next semester. So Phonte was telling Big Pooh, like, yo, I don't know if I want to if we go do this group thing, because I think people probably looked at rapper Big Pooh at the time as the weak link. So at the time, you know, Big Pooh, he went back, perfected his craft, working on it. So Ninth Wonder made the beat Speed, and he wanted Median and Phonte to spit to it. So some kind of way, Median went around. Phonte, they threw Big Pooh on it. And he was like, man, when he was recording that, I could hear the improvement in his skills. Like, he was ready, he was focused, he perfected his craft, and he got his confidence up. So that Speed track, that's one of my tracks too, man. That's one of my favorite tracks. So Phonte said he was sitting down with Ninth Wonder at the time, and they was thinking about how they go make their group name. So they ain't know. So he was like, we on a rap level where we just thinking of things like, all right, we had a concert, come on. Talib Kweli, come on. Mos Def, come on. And who could we be? Who would be next? You know, Little Brother. And that came together, and that stuck. Just to hear them navigate, and being from North Carolina, it's no plugs like that. And to hear how they just went through making their connections. When they got signed to Atlantic, they were some of the smartest rappers and most intelligent rappers at the time. And it's just like they got kind of lost in the middle, where they didn't make hit singles that was crazy or stuck out to the media in that certain way. It just was like in the community where if you like rap, hip hop, and bars, you go identify with them. And me being a college kid trying to do things the right way, I could identify with a lot of that music. And one of the people was like, who was a big person on the label, he was like, the name of this album called Minstrel Show. Is he trying to play us and saying, you know, that sound kind of offensive? And the dude, the A&R, was letting him know, like, man, we on the label, and you think we'll put out an act where it's just like diminishing and playing the other artists on the label? That just was like a marketing ploy, a marketing scheme. But one thing that was kind of crazy to me was, how did Little Brother get banned from BET? That's something that I always wanted to know, because their music, it just was good music. So how did it really get banned? That's what I would really like to know. If you know below, let me know in the comments. So, man, I remember in a freestyle, Phonte said something, I wish Black Embarrassment TV was judged more wisely. I don't know what's worse, the fact that they ain't playing our S, or the fact that it don't even surprise me. I was like, ooh! He done took a crazy shot on him. So, and I like the way they did their thing as, you know, being true to themselves. So one of the label execs, they was like, yo, I'm not gonna hold you captive, because, you know, things ain't, if you don't feel like this is the home for you, you can go ahead and go. So 3-4 months later, boom, they let him go. And they was like, the good thing about it with their record contract, they got all the samples and everything cleared for them, so they just went on out. And so at the time, Ninth Wonder, he had a chance to play some beats for Jay-Z, and he reached out to Questlove. Ninth Wonder reached out to Questlove, like, yo, test the water for me, because, you know, Questlove, he know Jay, he been in the industry for a while. He let him know he coming through to play beats for him, and he got hot beats. So he just was letting him, you know, letting Ninth Wonder be at ease. So you already know he played the beats. The rest was history. He made Threats. That was on, what, the Black album, if I'm not mistaken. And He also made a beat for Beyonce at the time, no, Destiny Child at the time. The girl track, the girl beat. And, you know, at the time they was going on a tour, and Phonte and Big Pooh them, they was like, yo, I need Knife to be all in with this because, you know, we can't have this. Like, you know, he going out to do his thing, and he gonna be doing things with J-Dem and, you know, the tours. All the fans gonna be wanting to see us all together, so that'll mess up the chemistry and that'll mess up the money. You ain't seeing everybody, so they let them know like, yeah, man, go do your thing with Jay. Plus, like when they was on the road, a lot of the shows he wasn't even at, so they was like, people get used to seeing Little Brother, and they be expecting Knife, and some of the places they went, it'd just have Knife Wonder face up. So like they fought for a while with like promoters and stuff like, yo, you ain't getting paid. We paid for Little Brother. And Little Brother is Phonte, rapper Big Pooh, and Knife Wonder, but where's Knife Wonder? So they was like, yo, we don't want Knife to, he ain't in here in the grinding stage. So they DJ turned into DJ Flash. And the funny story about DJ Flash, back on MySpace, I went to school video production at Shaw University. So some kind of way I messaged DJ Flash on MySpace, and rapper Big Pooh, he was dropping his Delightful Bars album at the time, and some kind of way I'm like, yo, can I come through and just record and film, you know, being at the album release party down there in that area, being there. And some kind of way, like I had a schedule conflict and I couldn't make it, but just to see me going back and forth talking a little bit with DJ Flash, it was crazy. Just to see I was that close to making some history with one of my favorite groups, but let's just keep it moving. So one day, they was in Paris, and they was doing a show. So they was debating, like, who go tell Knife that he can't come to the show? So Atlantic, they wanted Knife to come to the show. And they was like, yeah, you got to fly him out. So Knife came out there. Rapper Big Pooh was like, man, I don't like the way he came out here. This is a business trip. We out here for business. Knife wanted and brought his wife. You know, we away from our family. We sweating, putting our sweat, blood, and tears and everything. And he out here like it's a vacation, man. We out here to grind. So they was debating. It was what? Their manager, Big Doe, Phonte, and rapper Big Pooh, they was chilling, like debating, like who go tell Knife Wonder, yo, you can't come. You can't come because that's gonna mess up the money because everybody gonna be expecting you. You can't perform and be with us here. Then the next show you're not here. That, you know, they didn't like that inconsistent stuff. So they was all talking about who go tell them, and some kind of way Big Pooh mustered himself up to tell him. And so he talked to him. He was like, yo, man, you can't be here. You know, you gonna mess up the money. I know Knife didn't take it too well because I always felt like Knife didn't respect me as a peer like that. So he let him know Knife didn't come. And man, let me just tip my hat to the videography crew because they definitely killed this. The animations in this documentary was crazy. The storylines and the talk, it was so vivid. Like you could really see and get an inside look. So Knife, he wasn't at the show. So boom, how about, you know, some kind of way they was on Twitter. It was something said like Little Brother broke up, and Knife Wonder said something. Then Phonte said, yeah, stop seeming like you go take, he felt like, man, stop seeming like you go take the high road, then you always got something to say. So they got into like some little argument back and forth a little bit, and some kind of way a mutual friend of both of them, a mutual friend of Knife and Phonte, you know, said, yeah, Knife would like to talk to you. So some kind of way they had a phone call and they was able to get cool again. But Little Brother, they got burnt out from the same cycle, like tour, put out the CDs and all that. So I just think the communication thing, it was hurting them being young, and they came looking at music from a different perspective. Phonte, he was always a person who always wanted to do music and take it far as he could take it. Rapper Big Pooh, I know in the song, he said, one of the songs, he always thought he'd be a teacher. So his aspirations on the rap game was a little different from Phonte them, because Phonte, rapper Big Pooh always thought the way to put out the music, you gotta go on the major label. So Phonte hooked up with Foreign Exchange, the guy from across seas, and they put out an album. And he was like, yo, what we made in 7 years over there, being on a major label with Lil Brother, we made that back. We made more than that in a month, just being over here, being indie. And he was like, man, being on a major, we do all the work anyway, so why not go indie? So it just was like a disconnect. I like the way in their story, they stood their ground, because Ninth Wonder always wanted to be the main producer, which, you know, he is the main producer, but I tell you, them always wanted to venture out and use different producers. Probably they know, like, man, Phonte said something like, when your producer good, he go out and start working with other producers. I mean, other rappers and other groups, if he worth a damn. So he probably already knew, he probably was thinking in his mind, like, yo, we probably can't let Ninth just do everything, because once he blow up, it's gonna be harder to get beats. Then we gonna be at a standstill. So they was working with other people, and I think that was really good that they stood their ground on that, because just imagine if they had Ninth making all the beats and everything, and he just go off making beats with Jay. Now he's unavailable, because, you know, when your career start climbing up a crazy way, which, you know, you love Little Brother and it's your group, but if Jay like, yo, come to the studio, play the beats. Yo, you got Talib Kweli them over here. Yo, come and play the beats. Yo, you got Common over here. Yo, come and play the beats. You probably gonna be going over there, you know, playing the beats, because your career taking off. It's time to start leveling up. So being in the game, they got a lot of respect from their peers, and a lot of people respect their music. But the Gangsta Grills, when they got that Gangsta Grills, DJ Drama said that's one of the most impactful Gangsta Grills that they had, because he was like, that one and the Pharrell one, it brought like a different look at the South music, because the South, like I said at the time, what Jeezy was putting out a lot of dope music, and that was that street hood. We had Lil Wayne, like a lot of down South artists, they went that was getting pushed out to the front. They went like the MC, so that was crazy. And just hearing Drake was on there. He was saying something like Phonte, one of his favorite rappers, and he always been a fan of like Little Brother, Ninth Wonder beats, and just seeing like they DNA in the music game. And the funny thing was, one of the first times I heard about Kendrick Lamar, how about he was on a song with rapper Big Pooh, and they was getting burnt out just doing things, the same cycles. I know one time after one of them tours, they said something like, all right, rapper Big Pooh was like, no, Phonte was like, I'm gonna sing you some songs. Rapper Big Pooh like, no, man, I'm not working on the Little Brother stuff. I'm working on my own stuff. So he started working. He went out of town, and he was working with, he started working with a group. I can't remember what group it was off top. So as he was going upstairs, he passed out. And the doctor was telling him, yo, if you would have waited a few more days, you could have been up out of here. So at that time, you know, they fell out, which it was what, Phonte, they wasn't as cool. Ninth Wonder, they wasn't as cool. So some kind of way, Ninth Wonder heard about in the issue. He reached out to him, you know, is everything good? And things like that. He was happy to hear from him. But on the other side, Phonte didn't reach out to him. Phonte said, I just ain't think he want to hear from me, man. We left kind of on a sour spot where, you know, Big Doe said, man, I'm gonna stop scheduling interviews from y'all, because y'all sitting angled away from each other where it's just like attention. So sometimes that made me think, you know, them going back to their corners and retreating, that helped save their friendship. So coming back, they had to relearn each other again. So they came back, they came back together. When Phife from Tribe Called Quest passed away, that made them want to rekindle the flame, and they just looked at it like, man, life's short. So how about, it was some concert in Durham, North Carolina. It was supposed to be Royce da 5'9", but he couldn't make it, so they reached out to Phonte. So Phonte reached out to rapper Big Pooh, and they reached out to Ninth Wonder like, yo, this would be a dope chance for a Little Brother reunion. Like, nobody knows what's going on, and this would just be the perfect time for us to come back together and do our thing. Like, y'all need to get here within the next few hours. So how about they came and they done tore down the show, and that put it back, come back together. So Phonte was like, they started doing the same thing again, but they was like, yeah, we gotta relearn each other. We gotta hang out and get comfortable with each other again, because, you know, we different now. We different people. Fonte was like, the same thing started happening again. Now I ain't sending the beats over. No, we want to be around each other, catching the vibe and, you know, getting back reacquainted with each other, you know. So he was like, man, he told Knife again, there you go again. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You need to be all the way in. So, you know, that was a problem, and they put out May the Lord Watch. They was able to go #1 on Apple Music, and I was excited for that to happen. One of my favorite groups, when they was downstairs at a hotel, and they was just chilling, because the album released at like 12 at night, and they just was chilling, and they was looking at the comments in real time, and they was excited, and like they was feeling good from that. That's my thoughts, and that's a synopsis on the May the Lord Watch documentary. Let me know below in the comments your thoughts on this Little Brother documentary. Matter of fact, while you're down there, leave one of your favorite songs by Little Brother. And until next time, peace.